everybody. Excited Utterance here. And guess who I'm here with? It's Sean, potentially criminal.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing?
Hey, what a treat to have Mr. Sean here. And Mr. Dali will be here shortly. He just finished his stream. Wow, it's going to be an exciting one today, and we have a bunch of people here already. Hello, you guys are all nice and early, filing in. If you don't recall, it was only a few weeks ago when it all happened, the Treehouse Murder Trial, and up there you can see, it's already called the Treehouse Murder Retrial. Because Mr. Tyrone Tucker, he managed to get a hung jury to occur. And that was, I gotta say, good for him. He managed to convince at least one juror of reasonable doubt. And for somebody who is not a lawyer, not trained, it was, I think there were quite a few people in the legal community who were probably like, wow, cool, well done. That there was not much solid evidence on the part of the state, in my opinion anyway, but we'll see what everyone else has to say about that. But it's difficult. It's difficult to fight the state, who has a lot of resources and are able to put forth their argument. And as we know, juries, they tend to have a lot of belief in what the DA and the prosecution have to say. Now, that said, this happened only a few weeks ago, and within not very long, the state came back and went, you know what, we're trying again, and it's going to happen soon.
Yes.
So, yeah, it didn't take very long at all. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having a bit of a chat about Mr. Tyrone Tucker going back to trial and whether or not he's going to go pro se or nay, or no way. And I know that a lot of people have opinions on whether or not that would be a good idea. And that's a question for him. Obviously, It's his decision ultimately. But yeah, like, I'm really interested in what Mr. Sean has to say, obviously being the learned one amongst us in as a criminal defense attorney. And thank you and welcome. Thank you so much for your time today, Sean.
Yes.
We really appreciate you being here. Hey, Dali.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you? Good. How are you?
Good. Let's say hello to some people in chat first. So, hey, Christine, how's it going? Oh, we got here, Flashman. Flashman, always good to catch one of these names. Always nice to have you. My friends, how are you? How do you do? It's not, is it a Mr. Sex Rate? Yes. None of your business is here. Mads is here. So good to have you. Stray and Junk's changed her name. What's docent?
I don't know.
Dali, please explain.
It's he wants me to, or think I should change my it's basically a person who acts as a guide, typically on a voluntary basis in a museum, art gallery, or zoo, which fits all three of mine.
Okay, because I voted for, I don't know what that means. Hey, Becca Lynn, how are you? Good to see you. Great to have you here.
Thank you for all your research.
Yes. Becca Lynn's been doing a lot of research. Really, lots of hours and stuff into that. So it's great. Tragic, always great to have Tragic here from my hometown. And who else we got? Half Irish is here. Love having you here. Always Half Irish and Distant. Sean, your fiance said something you might not. You might.
I know about it. Don't worry, I know about it.
Well, that was an awkward moment.
Yeah.
Don't you worry, I'm all set.
And Hey, John H. How are you? What else we got? Of course, we have Dina here. Dina knows all about it. Way to throw me under the bus, just. Dolly, do you have some things loaded up there?
Sure.
Cool.
So-
And did I hear correctly that Paula has yes? half
Yes,
Irish.
unfortunately.
Okay, so now those who watched the trial, there was one very important witness. So on the defense side, Mr. Tyrone Tucker, he had one witness, and she was the lady who was the victim in, well, one of the two victims. So the victim of the stabby, and she actually was on the defense side as a witness, and she testified that it wasn't Tucker, right? And that was a big deal. It was a huge
Yes.
deal. But the thing was that she was very, very sick in hospital at the time. And unfortunately, she was so sick in hospital that they couldn't really get much. Hey, Lauren.
This is
they-
Ty Tucker's wife, by the way.
Oh, hello, Lauren.
Yes.
Good to see you. Hey, great to have you in chat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
couldn't really get much of the testimony out of her because she was just so ill. She was
Really
just
heartbreaking.
so ill.
It was
so
awful.
heartbreaking. It was horrible. Yeah, to have to watch her like that.
Clearly, yeah, want to defend him.
Yeah. She clearly wanted to speak in defense of Tucker, and sadly, unfortunately, she has passed.
Yes.
Then.
She fought on
And
so hard to be able to testify.
yeah,
It was really sweet.
yeah, and her testimony that day was struck from the record.
Yeah.
Which,
Although
I mean,
it wasn't struck from the jury's mind.
yeah. Look, I mean, Sean, what do you think about when things like that happen? I mean, when something happens in front of a jury and the judge says, "Look, you need to forget that happened," and I mean, does the jury really forget that happened?
Yeah.
No. I mean, sorry, were you asking me?
Yes,
sorry,
I'm asking you, Sean.
Yeah.
I saw you said the jury. What happened? I didn't hear the.
Okay, so my question to you, Sean, is when some testimony occurs,
Yes.
and then the judge says to the jury, "Oh, just forget that happened."
Well,
you need to strike that. We're striking that from the record, and you need to pretend that just didn't even happen.
Yes, there are multiple the courts though. Yes, but if you ask the court system, once you tell a jury to do something, they automatically do it. So they tell you to forget about it, it's forgotten about. So as long as that's said, that's all that matters most of the time.
Yeah.
Obviously that's nonsense. You'll ask a question and you'll ask a question knowing you'll get sustained just to get the question out there.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. But yes, it is. I hate that rule, and I hate the fact that the judge at the trial told the jury forget that question, so we have to assume by golly they did it, even though in that same trial you'll have evidence that a juror was breaking the rules about contact, like out in the hall said hello or tried to talk to somebody or was using their phone or admit they did research. But we have to assume like they know that we know they broke the rules, but yet the court tries to say like, oh, it doesn't matter. So
okay.
But yes, juries do, and they're just like all of us. They'll ask questions like, "Oh, what was that about? What were they trying to get to? What was missing here?" Just because the court says to forget about it, that is not just like little kids. Don't think about it. Okay, well now I need to know why can't I think about it?
They're humans. When it comes down to it, like they heard something, they saw something.
Yes.
But in this instance, the victim was testifying on behalf of the defendant.
Yes.
You can't forget that.
Yeah.
No, it's not something that'll be forgotten. It's
yeah.
And the other thing that's going to make it a little hard for jury selection, for retrying his case is people are going to be following along with the trial in that community. So they're going to be like, well, I didn't follow it's hard not to know it because you thought like, well, it's going to be resolved, not necessarily that it's going to be a hung jury. So, you know, they're going to probably know a little bit of information there. It's, you know, because it's, that's a very,
and I was sent a lot of information before the stream. So I'm still kind of processing it, but there was, Travis, there was a witness to this crime or to what happened. And he saw the person who was supposedly Ty, take off his mask down the street and was given 2 lineups and did not identify him. And it said it wasn't Ty. The state did not call this witness. Well, he was in jail. And correct me if I'm wrong, Becca. But he was in jail, and because he was pro se, he did not know how to get him out of jail to testify for
him. Yeah.
Wait, so he wanted to testify on behalf of Tucker?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If he's held nearby, it's actually pretty easy to get somebody to show up. But yeah, you have to file a subpoena. You have to serve it on him, and you may have to file an order.
Thank you.
You might have to provide the court with an order to make them appear. But generally, it's not a big deal as long as they're nearby. If they're like in prison or they're in a different county, then it becomes a bit of a pain in the butt. But if they're local, it's actually not too hard to do.
Yeah, this was Todd Quinn. Thank you.
Is that not quite right?
Oh, thank you for being here. Please correct anything I say.
Yes. Okay. 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 Right. That makes sense. Okay. Thank you. So, all right. So, if that's the case, then we would like to know then if what we're saying is not true. So, if he was able to be there in person, but it was it a matter of logistics, or I mean this witness, I mean, I suppose it doesn't. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. What's happened has happened.
Yeah.
What's happened has happened. There's a retrial coming up, and there were some issues regarding the amount of witnesses that were able to be at that trial. Are those witnesses going to be available for the next trial? Right. So obviously we will not have one of them because unfortunately she has passed. Now, I mean, this is sad, but it's the truth. I believe there is a deposition that will be able to be played. Correct me if I'm wrong.
And was the old lady called as a witness for the state, or was
no?
No.
Oh, it was one of the. It was the ones called for the defense.
Yeah. Yeah. And she ended up cussing out the prosecutor too.
Yeah, that's okay. That's who that was. I wanted to make sure I understood that. Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of an issue because I don't know Florida's rules of evidence. Oh, Frank say either transport or Zoom. He denied both.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So,
but yeah, as far as the rules go, there are rules that govern the unavailable when witnesses are unavailable, and if they've made prior statements, there's times where those statements can be prepared and made, and on the record, like if they have done a deposition or if there's a transcript. So that becomes an issue of, you got to get a transcript prepared. You have to show the court like what you're going to do, what you're trying to offer. There's a couple different things there, and I don't know Florida's specific rules on that. So that's kind of just the general idea. But there might be times where prior statements are not allowed. Now, except in this case, the state, they did get the cross-examiner, and they might say, they might not object because it's not, they might not think it's that detrimental to their trial.
I believe they did the deposition of her.
Yeah, they did her deposition as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they struck her testimony.
At their actual trial.
Yeah, and it probably, they'll probably redo the, we already ruled on, there was no problem with allowing the deposition in before, so they'll probably allow that again. Because she she already talked. They had the opportunity to cross-examine her previously. I think that'll be okay. And hopefully that guy's out of jail. That he would need it before. Is that guy still in jail?
Yeah, it looks like he is out.
Okay, good. Well, that saves a lot of trouble.
That makes life easier.
Yeah, that does. That makes it a lot easier. So,
okay, that's cool. Awesome.
And
so,
this trial does have a new judge.
Okay, yeah, and that's another thing. The trial does have a new judge.
Yes.
So a fresh set of eyes. We don't know an awful lot about this new judge. From what I've heard, he doesn't have an awful lot of criminal trial experience. It's definitely not publicly known to have much criminal trial experience. Becca, have you found anything out about that? Let me know if you've found any further information.
That's not necessarily uncommon either, because there are judges who do get elected and they have more of a civil-based perspective on things. But yes, generally speaking, you want your judge to have criminal experience because, well, that's where most of the things are going to happen is criminal cases, because that's, civil stuff generally works itself out at the end of the day.
Yeah. Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, is there something you wanted to bring up there, Don?
Oh, yes. Just give me a second. Sorry.
He was appointed by the governor.
Yes, DeSantis.
So, okay, me being from over the other side of the world, I wasn't aware that you could just be appointed, not
well, if there's a
elected.
vacancy, so like, for example, a judge retires, they're allowed to resign before their term's up. Normally they give you like a heads up when they're doing this, but there's one county I practiced in before where the judge was like, yeah, I'm done. He basically told the county, hey, I quit. And there was a scramble to find visiting judges to come in and fill the seat until a judge was appointed. And the way it works, at least I can speak for Ohio, but I assume it's pretty typical. The judge will come in, the governor usually has like a committee of people, and they screen candidates who, now obviously it's not just every yacht. Like it's not like an open resume call. I can't just, if I send my resume down to the state capitol, they're not going to take a look at it.
Sure.
But they have a list of candidates. They generally will talk to the local party people in that, county or judicial district and say, who are some people we should look at? They'll give you some names, and then you'll start interviewing, and then you pick one, and then that person sits till an election comes up.
So it looks like the reason is he retired. The judge retired. So
and that happens.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the reason he recused himself, though, because I was wondering.
Yeah. Okay. Retired
from the new trial.
Well, that's a heck of a reason to be out anymore. I can't do anymore. Why? I quit.
Yeah. So okay.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't read that one. Could you bring that back up again?
Oh, yes.
Yep. Very good. We have a new judge. I'll assume he's good till I know he's not. Wow.
So in Ty, I'm curious, is there anything, I'm very fascinated by your case. Is there any way somebody could convince you to not represent yourself again?
Okay. So this person in chat is not necessarily.
Okay. You're right.
Yes.
He may or may not be.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do go ahead. Ask the question.
Oh, I mean, is there, if you are Mr. Ty Tucker, hypothetically, because Sean's a lawyer here, he can't give legal advice.
Well, I can give. Well, I mean, I can give advice in the context of, generally speaking, going pro se is not the best of ideas. Now,
yes,
and I say that in the sense of when people talk about, like, if you go online, you're like, I want to learn how to change an outlet, or I change a fan.
Yeah.
What do you see them say? Oh, get a hold of an electrician, get a hold of a plumber. And a lot of it, some of them say it like that because you need a professional to do it. In reality, you don't.
Yeah.
But the neat thing is, if I wire up an outlet, as long as I don't light myself on fire, kill myself, I can turn it on, go flip the breaker, come back up and try to plug something in. If it doesn't work, unplug it and fix it and mess with it. And, as long as I have the time to work on it, I can pick at it and get it to work. Same thing with the car. I can redo the brakes on my car. and I can sit in my driveway and make sure they pump up, make sure they work and stop, and
Yeah.
I can go down the block real slow. When it comes to court, you're getting into the more of like, now you're kind of like building your house. You can't really unbuild parts of your house. Like once you start doing it, it's kind of like a big deal.
That's it.
And with the law, there isn't really a whole lot to do over time, especially when you're in the middle of trial. There isn't like, hey, I need more time. Now you might get it once in a while on certain topics, but
Sure.
That's like trying to, you could call only so many timeouts in a game, and after a while you're expected to play. So that's the risk. That doesn't mean you can't do it. There are people who have gone pro se. They have gone and they've done very well. And I say this, and I'm not, and I use this as an allegory. I use this as an example, and I know for Ty, I'm not using this to make fun of him and his past experiences in life, because I've heard his testimony. But yes, you can. I've heard the story. Like, I forget where it was, but this guy, he was in high school. He dropped out of high school. He started doing heroin, and after a while, he made $1 million company. That doesn't mean that's the way you should go about wanting to make $1 million company.
Yeah.
There are people who've done it that way, but there's many more people who have, like, they gone to high school, they didn't do drugs, they went and started a business, and they made it that way. You can do it. It's very hard. The margins of error are very. I mean, there's literally no margin for error, because if you mess up, you either win or you don't. There is no you can kind of win.
Yeah.
So that's the only risk there, and as long as people know the risk, I guess that's fine. I would never recommend it, but it can be done. It can be done, and I will say he did a fairly good job. Obviously, he got the hung jury, so I can't say he did a bad job. And thankfully for him, this already happened.
Yeah.
He went ahead, and all those people who have testified already, all their testimonies locked in. So it's there. I mean, you'll probably have to get he's gonna have to get transcripts of all those people and get them certified, and then you have to make sure you know how to go ahead and, like, cross-examine and impeach people with their prior testimony. But the state's probably not going to go get new people and new witnesses, because there really aren't any new witnesses or people. They used what they thought they could to get the conviction, when that's probably all that exists. So at least he has a very good idea of what's already been offered once, and I doubt the state's case is going to differ that much.
Yeah.
So that's very helpful, because I know he already had kind of a game plan going. You could reuse part of that game plan, but it's still, that's the one good thing. And as far as that's going for him, that's very helpful. So
okay, but look, let's just say this: everything my lawyers and I did was because we knew he was dirty, and they couldn't win there. This situation about like crookedness or corruption. I mean, I don't know what evidence there is of that. And sorry, are we talking about the prosecutor, or are we talking about the judge himself? Don't know. If you're talking about the judge, well, that's not an issue anymore. So there's that. I don't think you've got there's nothing you can do about the prosecutors. They're going to stay. They're still there.
Well, I was going to say the prosecutors being corrupt. That's prosecutors being crooked are like dogs who bite mailmen. That's how it goes in the world, ultimately.
Yep, we've seen a lot of those. We've seen a lot of those. I doubt, if he's honest, it won't make it past the motion to dismiss. Look, and this is the next thing. So, and what I wanted to ask Sean. So, as somebody who is if you're not a professional, and you go forth to a court with a motion to dismiss, are you how likely or unlikely are you to have that motion to dismiss accepted. So are you less likely because you are not a trained attorney?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just
Yeah.
purely based on the evidence?
Well, I mean, the way I try to explain to people is when you file a motion to dismiss, you're challenging it on procedural legal grounds.
Mm,
So was it done kind of like what's going on with President Trump in Georgia? They're
mm,
claiming that the process was bad and the people running it were bad, and there's
mm,
defects there. Those are things you can attack to get something dismissed. Challenging the facts of a case, well, the problem you run into frequently is when you're challenging the facts of a case, you're challenging the facts. Well, most judges are going to look at you and say, and I've had this, and here's the problem myself. I'll come in and say, Your Honor, this case is all bull crap. These facts suck, and the judge will say, well, if the facts are bad, challenge them at trial. And that's
mm.
because that's when you do the fact finding and challenge the
Yes.
facts and cross-examine the facts and test them for credibility and test them for, the sufficiency and the manifest weight. That's at trial. So testing them beforehand really isn't an issue. Now, you might test scientific issues. Sometimes with experts, there might be some expert issues go on, but for the most part, when you're challenging things at pre-trial in a motion to dismiss, you're challenging law and procedure, and that's harder than the facts because you might know the facts, but that's like okay, like you understand the idea of an airplane, like flying an airplane. You
Yes.
want to make sure the blue is above you and the brown's below you. Okay, good. It's pretty easy to figure out. But how do you do that? How do you actually start it? How do you land it? How do you make the landing gear come down? How do you make the flaps come down? How do you talk to air traffic control so you don't slam into another airplane? Like, how do you do all those things? There, that's a whole nother side of not slamming into the ground. So, and that's where, and I see there, the due process violations. Yeah. And that's where you get to the process and the procedure. And if you could point those out, that's great. It's just typically for people, that's not the stuff they know. And like I said, if you know them, then yeah, you could do very well. But it's a lot harder to learn those things. But as long as, it's just like
on the job.
Well, yeah, but I always say it like this though. You can teach people damn near anything. Really, like there's nothing out there that people can't learn. And it's just, do you learn it? Can you learn quickly? Can you learn it well? And can you apply it? And if you could do those things, then great. By all means.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. What's this distance? So do courts generally just hate that you go pro se, and even if you're good, they will be biased against you? That's a good question.
Okay, yeah, that's not a bad question. I mean, typically when you say you're going pro se, they're not mad at you, but they're just like,
aggravated.
Like, well, no, it's just they're going to be perplexed because they typically, when people go pro se, they bumble like, and I will say, Ty did a very good job for somebody who went pro se.
Yeah.
But most people, and that my point is that pretty good. We've seen people go pro se before on watching streams. What happens? It's bumbling, disjointed.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're doing it just to be assholes. But in general, once again, you're trying to fly. Like, you got to do something. How do I do that? How do I don't know how to do this, that, or the other. I don't know how to do anything. I'm just not guilty. Well, it's exasperating. It's frustrating in the sense of it takes a lot of time. And most people, when they come in pro se, it's just like you're sitting there and you want to, like I've seen pro se people litigate motions before in front of a court. And I'm just like, I want to stand up and say something, but I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're almost right there. It's like, sometimes you're like, they've got it. They're almost right there. They just need to say the right thing. And it takes them over the line. And, or the other times you're watching, you're like, it's really cringe. It's really embarrassing. You're embarrassed to be in the room. So that's the majority of the time. And that's the thing. It eats up a lot of unnecessary time. So yes, the courts generally prefer, skilled counsel being in place, but they don't hold it against you, but they might just be like, oh my God, here we go again.
Yeah. Well, and I will say you have certainly thought it out, and you know the situation better than I do, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So
the next question would be, Oh, so we just get
Mm-hmm.
an answer here. You're absolutely right. Pro se 99 out of 1,000 times is a bad idea and not what you wanted to do. Yes.
And I also understand in your situation, you didn't intend for that to happen. You had your counsel, but from what I understand, after a while, you guys had kind of you weren't seeing eye to eye. So
No,
was it that or
well,
was it? Oh,
I don't
I
know
thought-
if he wants to.
Well, I was just gonna say I understand there was a bit of a disagreement with how they were going to do things ultimately, so he ended up feeling that was the best way to represent himself.
Oh,
The lawyers wouldn't have brought the cameras in. Okay, well,
were you
and
the
I-
one who demanded it?
yeah, and if that's what you want,
Yeah.
yeah, you have every right to have them there, and yeah, um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't envy the position.
yeah, and I understand that most people, and yes, it's not what you want to do, but it's what you had to do.
Yeah.
Which is different because a lot of people who do represent themselves do it because they want to do it, and they think they know better.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So,
mhm.
is there something that we should be looking at there?
Yeah, I found a couple interesting points of the prison snitch. And of
Yes.
course they had a prison snitch in this trial.
Of
Of
course.
him being cross-examined. So I thought we'd
Yes.
play a few minutes of that, and
Yes.
Ty, if he wants to comment, or we can comment.
Sure.
And I've got a lot more information that's come in today, so I'll be going through that, and
Okay.
hopefully we can have a lot more on this.
Well, Seaside is saying, do cameras actually help? I think they do. I think
Yeah.
I think having these trials streamed has given the average person insight into, I mean, for example, use Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got to see how the prosecution did things, and people were not
Absolutely.
thrilled about it. Yeah. And a lot of these trials, you get to see how one side or another is doing stuff, and it's different seeing the sausage being made. It's different to see how they're prosecuting Hannah Reid. It's different to see how it's going to happen. And now you're not just wondering, you know how, for some people, they're learning this is how my elected officials operate. Like the people of Fulton County, Georgia are seeing how Fannie Willis operates now.
Yeah.
All those things are very important. So I think there is a very important thing for cameras being in a courtroom, because ultimately it's open to the public. And if it's open to the public and the whole public can't fit in there, because let's say 100 people showed up, I
Yeah,
doubt that
like-
courtroom could take 100 people. Well, what are you going to do? Tell them sorry.
like
go
Johnny
home?
Depp.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Depp's had a big courtroom too, but yeah, just in general, what are you going to do? Tell that person to go home, read about it in the paper? Well, that's not fair to them. So yeah, I think having the TV available, I still think it should be, I should be able to come in on a Monday morning and say, hey guys, we're going to watch a trial today. And I should be able to go to every state, should have on their Supreme Court or their High Court website a list of every county that they have. And I should be able to click on that county, poof, here's all the courthouses in that county. And I should click whatever one I want. And then it'd say, here's all the courtrooms in this courthouse. And they all got cameras going. You can click on courtroom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Click. And if there's nothing on, okay, fine, there's nothing there saying court's off today. But let's say that, a court somewhere in Idaho is doing like a DUI trial. I should be able to just jump in and watch that. So,
yeah,
I think it should be like that all over the country.
Becca Lynn, you're absolutely right. When recovery addict thought there was no evidence of a not guilty verdict, that was something.
Yeah,
that was something. Yeah. And also, when the law and crime polls were split, I mean, usually the law and crime polls are just guilty, 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 guilty.
Yes, the wine moms are not fans of beyond a reasonable doubt, and I think that I have a lot of concerns about the quality of evidence the state had here. So
yeah. Oh, big time. And to be honest, and I'll be really blunt here for just a second. People out there didn't really like Ty very much, and I mean the general public. I didn't warm to Ty the way there's two parts of the internet in terms of the YouTube watchers and the social media. community, like TikTokers and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I try to show this on my show on Sunday, Hearsay for Days. I try to show the different sort of points of view that are out there. There are the people who are sort of more defense friendly, defendant friendly, and we sort of look at the defendants and feel a little bit more empathy. And then there are the ones who are very much lock everybody up. And the ones that are lock everybody up, I think there are more of them. And those people, they didn't warm to Ty as much. Right, and yes, and they're usually the people who watch Law and Crime and get into their chats, and maybe more into the recovery addict kind of chats, and they're the ones who are sort of like, oh, he's a narcissist, he's this, he's that.
Yeah.
But even then, their polls were split far more than I would have expected. Like, there was a lot of them who were like, you know what? Don't really know. Like, for them to be saying not guilty or hung jury, I was shocked. Because they usually don't. They usually just act on emotion. They usually just go, "Oh, we don't like him," and there were drugs involved and all that kind of thing, and there was violence involved, so therefore he's guilty.
Well, remember, I don't know if you've heard me say this before, Hella, but I say this all the time on my channel. A jury trial is sales at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You are selling something. You are selling, and I'm not saying this is like in general terms. You're selling a story, a narrative. The state's selling a story that, Ty was involved in a murder. Okay, well, Ty's selling a story of, I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
And those are competing storylines, and you are selling that to a jury. So it's just like sales. Like a guy going door to door selling knives, a guy selling a car, a realtor selling a house, a hooker selling your butt on the street. That's a little easier to sell though. But in general, it does come down to, you want the jury to like you. You want the jury to find you, you're the nice guy. Yeah, I'm sitting at this table. I didn't do it, but hey, these other guys in this case we talked about that the police didn't interview, they didn't talk to, they didn't get involved with, those are the real bad guys. Don't worry about me. Worry about them. And the jury can go, okay, yeah, we're focused on those bad guys. You, yeah, you're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to that. So
it does. It does. It is. It's theater. It's a sales presentation.
To an extent, yeah. To an extent, it is theater.
Branko and I have spoken about the similarity between what we both do, because I'm a creative director. I sell advertising.
Yeah.
I sell concepts, and it's written very similar. Lauren, yes, there are so many people who see the lack of evidence and feel bad for him and have become vocal supporters. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I will say that much too. The quality of this, and I'll be honest, if this really is you, Ty, when I heard you representing yourself, I'm like, okay, well, oh boy, here we go. It's going to be like, you see, you're smarter than Daryl Brooks. So I was like, okay, it's going to be like a smarter version of Daryl Brooks, but it's going to crash and burn. You did a very good job. And the quality of the state's case was I was very surprised to see the quality of their case.
Yeah.
Like I said, I definitely think you weren't guilty, but even then I'm almost leaning towards, not guilty just in the fact you didn't do it, not just not guilty. The state can't prove it. But I think it's, it's all about presentation, and you got at least one juror. I don't know how many more, but you definitely did. You got the mission accomplished. Hopefully you can get all 12 of them this time and like be 100% done.
Exactly. So, all right, let's have a look at this.
So I think this part is when he was impeaching him on the lights. He was very, he seemed to just agree with everything the prosecutor said, and it was kind of interesting, this part.
Yep, cool.
Okay, we all agreed that this was a truck going this way, right? A truck going this way.
William?
Hey, Dolly, do you have the enhancer going? The enhancer?
Yeah.
He's got it.
Oh. Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh.
Let's go turn it on.
Oh, okay.
Then that way.
Sweet.
Okay. So
Thanks everyone for being here.
My truck has never changed orientations. My truck came through the frame from the left to the right, never changed orientations, and continued out of the frame to the right. Because the street where the stop sign
Still super low.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dolly, I'm talking about the YouTube enhancer for the extension. I just
I've
sent you a
got-
link for it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You're
Talk
right.
amongst yourselves.
Mhm.
Oh, hello. We can answer another question whilst Ali does that.
Yeah.
Hey. Any attempts to interview jurors? Lauren says, oh, where is it? There's another
Yeah,
comment
that's
from
actually a
Lauren.
question I was going to ask. Were you able to speak with the jurors at all? Because that would be helpful to know what they thought, what they liked, they didn't like. You can take notes and use that going forward. I've had a
Yeah.
couple. I had one hung jury in particular, and
Yep.
It was an assault case, and the one juror came out, and she said, "I have a question for you," and she's like, "I don't know why you didn't bring it up," but it was an older lady, and my client was a woman, and the person she was alleged to assaulted was a woman, and she said, "I can't believe you didn't notice this." And I said, "Well, ma'am, tell me what it is," and she says, "Well, the victim says she got punched in the face. All these things didn't happen." I said, "Yeah," and said, "Her makeup wasn't smeared." She said, "That alone told me I knew she was lying." And I didn't bring that up. The prosecutor didn't bring it up. Both of us are guys. It didn't really even occur to us. She didn't have a ton of makeup on. She just had like a little bit of eyeliner, like right on the edges of her eyelids. And none of that was smeared or smudged. And I'm like, and I opened up my folder,
Interesting.
my file folder on that. And I wrote down like the Sharpie I had in my pocket. Makeup
Yeah.
on the eyes wasn't smeared. And I wrote it in big letters. So I knew. And I closed it
Yeah.
up. And I still have a great day, ma'am. And the prosecutor walks up to me. He's like, what was that all about? I said, oh, nothing. And then I saved it for the second time around. So,
guys, I might get you to, if you have questions, put the red
then-
emojis in chat, please, because I'm having trouble just seeing who's asking a specific question.
yeah,
That would be
And
awesome.
Dolly, if you're using that and it's done,
Mhm.
you'll see a thing with like a little lightning bolt with parentheses around it. That's the volume boost.
Okay.
And you might want to turn on the volume, whatever you have set, because it might get real loud.
Or send me a link. I can.
Yeah. Why don't
Matt's just saying, did I win round 2? No,
Win round
I did not win. I did not win round 2. Round 2, a couple of the witnesses the state was able to get a hold of the first time around showed up. So we had some issues. We were good if they weren't going to show up, but they showed up, and that kind of hurt us.
Yes, this one, that little red question mark is good. That stands out. I can see it a bit better. Thanks. If you've got a
I'm
question,
sorry. I'm gonna have to send you the link. I'm sorry.
that's fine. No problem. I can run it.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So yeah, whilst I'm running that, if you could just have a look out for the little red marks in chat, that'd be
Yes,
fantastic. This is why we co-host,
Yes, it certainly.
because we support each other.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you everyone for being here. And what's this, Bobby? I need to get EU and Sal on my setup. Bill will love you. What are you talking about, Bobby? You're always making fun of me.
All right, guys.
Thank you. All right. All right, just give me a sec to set that up and you guys can answer some more questions.
Hey, Dolly, do you have a Twitter handle?
Babu, the Aussie cat.
Okay.
Cool. All right, here we go. So Visa Martikainen, have you watched Ted Bundy, as pro se? What did you think?
I mean, he was really good, but that was really there was a lot of evidence tying him there, so that was yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that's the thing. You can have the best attorney in the world, but the facts are not good.
Yeah.
The facts are not good.
Oh, was Ted Bundy a lawyer?
No.
Or he went to law school?
He had for a little bit, briefly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, Ted Bundy was very, very smart. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
a very
Very smart. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna share this now. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
jury was split.
what? That's news.
And then 9-3.
Okay, so why did we hear something different, Lauren? Why did we hear something
8-4
different?
and 9-3 are good. Those are good. Those are good, healthy mark. Like they're not perfect, obviously, but
Well, it was
9-3
9 guilty, 3 not guilty, I think.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what it was.
Okay.
Typically, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, because if it was 8-4, if it was like 8-4 not guilty, and then it became 9-3 not guilty, I don't think the state's retrying this because that's not. There's no way they're going to flip that many people around the next time. So that's if it's the other way around. Obviously, they're like, oh, we could try 3, and then if you're the defense, that means hey, we at least got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So that means you're probably at least going to get one around again. Like you stand a good chance, if not getting more. So.
Yeah, that is news, absolutely, and it just bothers me the way like lies can just be put out there like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
All right,
I also imagine the state was a little embarrassed.
Oh,
yeah, just a bit. You think? You think? All right, let's watch this.
Just a little bit.
It is your headlights that the truck did not move.
All right, now the sound is naturally
Your
low.
question is
I think
making
I
sense,
have.
This is a
I
situation
have
where my
booster
truck
on.
goes through, the headlights
I'm
look
gonna
like they're
put a
reflected off
different
the boat.
booster
The
on
boat
top.
obviously has a reflection from another light source, not my truck. So we can
How's that?
eliminate the fact that those lights on that boat
Still kind of low, but
are not my headlights.
I'm
All right.
gonna
He did ask the question, do you
put
think those are your
another one on
headlights?
top.
It's possible they could have been a reflection, but are they? No, they're not.
Do you guys want me to try it
So you're
from
disagreeing
my
with
end?
Mr. Mansfield now.
Just a minute.
Okay.
or we can try a different.
Wait, just wait.
You have the final question on this area.
How's
and
that?
That'll take care of it. So,
Kinda,
Mm-mm.
particularly.
repeat it. Go
That's
ahead.
okay.
Thank you.
Let me try a
Dan,
different part.
Travis, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. You agreed with Mr. Mansfield.
Is that increasing?
This reflection could be your headlights.
Not
correct?
really.
Okay.
Let me try that. Let's do this.
So I
Oh yeah,
show
somebody's
up,
asking if you guys do closed
you,
captions.
and you
Yeah.
don't.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, closed captions. Yeah, of course we can.
Scared at that point.
I'm trying to understand your
So I'm trying to-
explanation of fear, of scared. I've been in numerous stressful situations, and yes, I was nervous, but a level of fear that I think you're trying to achieve, me agreeing with, is not what you would call fear in the sense of, oh no, what am I going to do? No, it was more or less, this situation is not of my liking anymore. I do not trust you or Tuck or Wilson anymore, and yeah, I want to be away from the scenario as quickly as possible. That's my level of fear.
Johnson, I
Can you
wasn't
guys not hear it?
looking for anything specific.
Oh, or are you
It's
just
it's
teasing me?
very very
No,
faint.
it's all right. We'll overrule it.
You guys want to send me the link real quick?
so
Yeah.
you-
Okay.
You just said that you're
I have 5 boosters on. Including the Chrome one that you use. So
Oh,
good
okay.
luck.
No. I got. What time are we at?
5:01:31. I posted it.
Yeah,
Oh, one.
yeah, it's in private chat at the moment.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
So that being the case, I'm not sure if you're going to have any more luck. Maybe what we need to do is turn ourselves down, and everyone can turn
Oh,
sound
we
up.
could do that.
Yeah.
here we go. All right.
All right, you give it a shot, Sean.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna share it now. Well, I was gonna watch it by myself, but I'll share with you guys. I guess. All right, here we go. Let's try this.
Yeah.
situations where you can handle fear, correct?
Yes.
Chat, how do you feel about that?
And to remain calm during these kind of situations.
I don't know about calm, but I know how to function somewhat under stress. Yes.
Function somewhat under stress. Okay, cool. Now, is that from your military experience?
Yes.
Is that any better, guys? It's good. What's Sean doing that's so magical?
Okay.
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 Now,
All right. Maybe he's got a
Let me
different
ask you
version or something.
again, did you go back to the beach on the 19th
I went back to the beach several times.
several times between
Whatever it is,
the
I'm
night it
downloading it.
happened and the
Hey, J-Rob.
night when you left
When I left the apartment, it was during the day.
during
Yeah,
the
when
day?
I left permanently, when I went to Big Pine, it was during the day.
During the day. Okay. And you did say you had a conversation with April Walker, correct?
Yes.
Now, did you see me that morning?
You were upstairs, yes.
Okay. I was upstairs.
Yes.
Did I have a conversation with April Walker that you know of?
You may have, but I didn't hear it. I didn't see it.
That's all I was asking you. What?
Yes, I didn't hear it or see it, no.
I got you. But you did have one with her prior to you leaving. And what was that about again?
Where Rory Wilson was and where I was going.
Okay. Now, you weren't there for the so-called raid, right?
No,
And where were you at the time?
I was at the beach.
At the beach. Okay. So back at the beach. Okay. And when did you get there approximately? I mean, did you get there while they were still conducting this raid, or did you get there after it was over?
I got there after it was over.
After it was over. Okay. So you didn't talk to anybody at the raid or any of the police?
No, that night, like, I want to say late at night before the sun came up after the raid, Miss Phelps and Detective Fernandez and another detective came in wanting to look into the ceiling.
Okay, so they came back a second time.
Yes. And they got my permission to look into the ceiling.
And did they find anything?
No,
Did you have any conversations with any of the officers at that point
yes, about my truck.
about the truck?
Yes.
Now, at this point, you still haven't offered them any information that you were involved, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Back to fear again for a second. I believe you testified that you didn't ask me out of fear. Is that correct? You asked me what happened.
Repeat the question.
I'm looking at the testimony that you've given, and you said you didn't ask me what happened because you were afraid.
I didn't ask you what happened, correct, because I was afraid of the answer. I was afraid of know anything.
Okay. You're afraid of the answer, but you weren't afraid of me.
Not really particularly, no.
Okay. And let's see.
This guy, I think he said he ditched Ty.
Okay.
He's claiming Ty. He ditched him at
How
the
many times did
treehouse
you go
when
back?
Do you
things
need
went
deposit?
bad.
The warehouse. in
Yeah, if you could, I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because he was the getaway driver, as I recall, and everything went bad, and
Mhm.
he just drove off. So now he's saying he wasn't scared of Ty when Ty got back to the house.
Mhm.
It really makes no sense. But anyways,
And the one thing I will just state, by the way, I think, and I know, I would just say, as far as going pro se and basically winning the first time, the second time around, the state is not likely to make the same concessions if they don't have to.
Yeah.
Before they might say, yeah, he's pro se, whatever. I think this time they'll be fighting and objecting and playing a little more hard nosed, which Ty seems like a pretty tough guy, but and I'm sure he's expecting that, but I think it should just be said.
they were really, really, I was surprised at how they acted like Ty was a real lawyer. And I realized that's how scared they were. So they were really, and the judge kind of went back and forth on being a complete asked, but I think he realized near the end of the trial
Mhm.
he went too far. Maybe he
Mm.
disagreed, Ty.
Yeah.
Or he called the chief judge, and the chief judge told him to knock it off. And he,
If it got to the point where somebody told him above him to stop, he would have like formally like there would have been some formal type of thing. Usually they don't call you to like
or
say
he,
you're out of line.
could he have asked for advice? Maybe because
Maybe, but I think a lot of times they'll be like, "Hey, man, buddy to buddy, you're out of line."
Yeah.
But if that were the case, like there's a case here in the Cleveland area where the judge duct taped a guy's mouth closed in the middle of a hearing, and then after the hearing was
What?
like he did, and very shortly afterwards he had the guy undone, and after that hearing he actually admitted, you know what, I was wronged, I shouldn't have done that. I automatically recused myself, and he complied with the state bar when they came after him and disciplined him. But he immediately was like, "Yeah, I fucked that up, and I'm out. Like
Yeah.
that was wrong of me." Now this judge hasn't done that, and I mean, I think that's a big he should be honest enough to say like, "Look, I messed up, I'm out." But maybe that's his way of saying it.
yeah,
Duct tape is what? Okay. You mean physically actually duct taped?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The guy was being a spaz, and he had the deputies go get tape, and they taped his face up. I'll send you the video.
Please.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that one day when I'm hanging out on your channel for
I
fun.
can't. I say it like this. I don't generally comment on things that happen in the areas where I practice,
gotcha.
Okay.
just because that's
Yeah.
No,
I
that's
don't
okay.
pee in the pond I swim in, but
Yeah,
I'll pee
no,
in
no,
everybody
makes-
else's ponds.
Makes total sense.
But
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. You guys can look at it and kind of on
Yeah.
your own.
We can
Yeah.
have fun with it.
Yeah.
Sure. That's why I don't talk about Australian stuff, because
Well,
they'll slap me.
Yeah.
you guys can. You can also get in trouble for what you say on Twitter there. So
Yeah, that's true.
Or what people say in our comment section.
yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
And Big Pine,
Yeah, where you were moving,
once.
just once.
When I left to go to Big Pine,
It was
the
just
first
once.
time and the only time that I had been to Big Pine.
Okay. Now, did you go up there to get the job?
I went over there after I had secured the permission to stay there and the job
And how did you secure that permission?
from Mr. Martin Ochoa,
But was it via the phone or face to face? I mean, how
face
did
to
that happen?
face.
And did he meet you someplace, or?
I met him at Mangrove Mama's.
Okay, and I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember. Where's Mangrove Mama's?
Mile marker
located?
20.
Mile marker 20. And where's Big Pine?
Mile marker 50.
Mile marker 50.
Or in between there. I'm not correct. I'm not sure, but I know it's further away than mile marker 20.
Okay. And you said you didn't see Wilson again except for after that first night, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So.
Do you know for what?
Discussion. And did you ever look into the backpack when you found it in your footlocker?
No,
Never looked into it.
no, I didn't look into it whenever I found it. No.
And you said, again, after you got to Big Pine, the police contacted you through Captain Phelps giving you a phone call. Is that
Yes.
correct? And do you remember, again, what they told you?
Yes, they wanted to conduct more of a follow-up investigation on my truck, take pictures of the vandalism, and get basically a statement from me, what I experienced.
Free Franklin Tucker.
And you said they
that's
did their investigation on the truck at the same
Judge's
time.
refusal. I think he was asked to step
Yes.
down.
Okay, so what did that
Okay,
entail?
that's different to what
Them
you were
walking
saying
around
earlier. You
it,
thought he
with
was
body
retired.
cams and taking still frame images of my truck
Okay.
and opening the doors and looking inside of it as well.
Like I say, they opened doors, they look inside. Did they take anything?
No, there was nothing in it to take.
Let's see.
Right.
Now, let's see.
Interesting.
Okay, if my memory serves. Okay, you said that you got scared and you took off when you saw Todd O'Quinn with his flashlight running up the hill,
I
right?
suppose there might not be any way to find out about that.
Now,
Free Franklin
why
Tucker.
didn't you get freaked out when he came out the first time?
What?
Todd O'Quinn came out twice.
I never encountered him but one time visually. I never met the man, never saw the man, never communicated with the man. The only thing I saw of Todd O'Quinn, didn't even know it was him until he ran across the street, flashing flashlight, screaming, "Help, help, help, police." That's what I remember of that individual.
Well, I didn't say you met him. Back to that, you encountered Todd O'Quinn?
Visually.
Okay, visually. And as we've gone through the video ad nauseum now, he comes out twice. So that
Once again, I'm going to object to these questions.
Well, I'm going to sustain the objection
Okay, I'll
because it's not
rephrase.
a question.
No, I'll
it's
rephrase, John.
commentary. So
Oh,
refresh. Travis, did you watch
Did you
that
say you
video?
want me
I'm
to
sorry,
stop?
Mr. Johnson, did you watch that video?
Yes.
Yeah, let me give
How
you
many
another
times?
link.
Cool.
That was kind of 5:14.
Thank you, Stray. Yeah, I'm only 30 subs away from 2,000. Thanks, that's nice.
Dolly, you want me to
Yeah.
start here?
Yeah, 5:43. Oh no, in the next video I sent
Yeah,
you.
that's what I mean. The next one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Okay.
doing that.
Ty's still here. I was kind of curious about his.
No, Free Franklin Tucker is here. And
Free is here. Yes.
Free is here, yes.
All right.
Ah, look at the background.
Yeah.
By my choice of color scheme, it matches the
Has
walls.
no factual basis to it.
Really?
So in other words, this is your theory that this is all being pinned on you by the big Bubba system.
Your Honor,
Oh,
I would
hi,
Oh, go back
Justin.
about
object
30,
unless he wants to
45
let me go
seconds.
into the
Thank
things he doesn't
you.
want to go into.
I'll sustain.
Lovely to have you.
It's very simple,
You
Mr.
just
Tucker.
said
Is
that
your
I was
story
there and you have
today?
no-
Would I?
A
I
little bit
wasn't
more.
there. You were. So why did you?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So now, I guess your story is that this is all being pinned on you, right? That you didn't do
Well,
this.
You would know better than anybody, Mr. Mansfield.
Oh, would I? But I
Yes.
wasn't there. You were. So why did you tell me? Are you telling me this was all pinned on you?
I hate to tell you again, Mr. Mansfield.
It's very simple,
You
Mr.
just
Tucker.
said
Is
that
your
I was
story
there and you have
today?
no proof
Is your
of that.
story today that you were?
Sir.
This is all being made up and that you didn't do this.
Yes, this is that is my story all day,
Okay.
and I've said it since day one.
So this is just the big Bubba system going after you to pin this on you.
Yeah, and Mr. Mansfield. Again, I can answer that. You know, would you like me to answer it? Would you like me to tell you how I know that? You said you didn't want to go into that.
Well, you know what? Let's not go into that
The
because I'm
judge
pretty
realized
sure what
he
your
opened the
opinion
door.
has no factual basis to it.
Really?
So in other words, this is your theory that this is all being pinned on you by the big Bubba system.
Your Honor, I would object unless he wants to let me go into the things he doesn't want to go into.
I'll sustain that last question. as argumentative.
Which
Hang on a minute.
I will give Ty credit. That was a very good job. That I don't know if that was planned by him to bait the prosecutor like that, but he did a very good job at baiting the prosecutor.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Also, calling it the Big Bubba system, that's argumentative, surely.
It's somewhat argumentative, but that's still the idea that it's calling this this corrupt Southern system is, and the prosecutor, if there was another, attorney there may have somebody may have said argumentative, but it's okay. Let him call, and if there is that corruption, I could see Ty saying, well, I'm going to let him mock it because that shows how insincere he is. And, there were times where he did a good job making the prosecutor come off looking like an ass. So, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, can you explain Lauren, what he meant by that? Because that's not a term I'm familiar with.
The Bubba system.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Bubba runs, Bubba's like a stereotypical corrupt Southerner. He's, like Boss Hog, like Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
That's more what they're getting at there.
Oh.
Bubba being a guy in the South.
Right. Oh, okay. Kind of like, the dog
Yeah.
Bubba.
Now, if Ty had answered it, like, would he have opened the door there and, like, on redirect been able to talk about it?
I could see so, yeah. I would argue that came up that way, yeah, because I think the prosecutor, anything that's talked about on, that should be allowed to come back. He should have the right to touch on that. I would if I were him.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm.
Basically I would say I would do whatever I could until the judge tells me no. And I know
Yeah.
that some of you guys are like, oh, well, you do that anyway. I said, yes, but in this situation, those topics I would definitely bring up like that, though, just see how far I could get.
Gotcha.
Hey, Keith Pathick. Nice to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you.
So now you
redirect.
may conduct redirect in the same fashion, but just remember it's within the scope of the cross. We're not.
That's fair.
Okay.
Ty
Thank you.
or Franklin Tucker.
I don't even know if I want to read. I don't know.
Well,
what I
you
wanna
don't
read.
have to.
I'm just trying. Let me think about what
All
Mr.
right.
Mansfield just asked me
All right,
because
take a
I was
moment.
kind of getting blasted there.
If you need a moment, take a moment.
Thank you.
It's
And-
not mandatory redirect,
No.
it's just if you want the opportunity.
Right. Ken. Yes, Ken, I think I would like to address that last thing there, but I mean, yes, I do know that I'm being set up yes, I'm being set up for this because I'm here. That's an obvious thing. I won't go into what, again, the things we're not supposed to be talking about right now, I guess. But, I do, let's see, as far as, everything else, I mean, everything else you just asked me, I'd already talked about. So I don't think there's anything else I need to say.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. You can step down. Should be a good time for an afternoon break, folks.
You can pause it.
About
So,
Thank you, Sean.
yeah, thank you very much. So you saw that day of the trial, right, Sean?
Yeah, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want me?
No.
You said keep it up. Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I did. I did see that. I saw that part live. Yes.
So I mean, for a pro se defendant to take the stand, he can just kind of do a narrative form.
Well, because that's normal. Otherwise, they have to you get that
Run.
schizophrenic, what did you do?
Yeah,
Here's
run
what I
back and
did.
forth.
Yeah, and that's a very common way to handle it. That's a very common way to handle it.
Is that an advantage, do you think?
I mean, to an extent, it's an advantage because you know the story, but you're still bound by all the other rules of hearsay and
Sure.
speculation. But yes, there's times where I can see that being an advantage. You're just talking. It's not your attorney talking in the middle of everything as well. But I think overall it's it's good, especially if you can, you're smart and you're not going to get tripped up because remember the state's only got one job. They can trip you up. They can,
Yeah.
they're coming out for the win in that regard. So no, I thought it was a very good job done there.
And the prosecutor was trying to control him as a witness. But if you're able to object to the prosecutor, then that would help break up his flow.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Oh, we would have loved you to stop asking questions. I'm sure that would have been hilarious.
Yes.
The whole internet would have loved that.
Yeah.
Everybody would have loved that.
What is the schedule for the next trial? Because
Oh,
Well, he'll know
Treehouse
that
2.0 is going to happen.
Yes.
It is going to happen. It's on the 11th of March.
is
Oh,
that the
that's
official
soon?
start date?
I thought so.
Oh, wow.
And are they going to re-argue some of the previous motions, like things that were excluded because it's a new trial?
Very likely. I mean, I think the state's going to have to make sure, they might introduce different things, but I think their case overall is going to have to be the same at this point.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the trial set for the 11th of March? Yes.
I would know. He's here, so we could ask him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I believe so. Now, that's the next question I have. Why so soon? Why can't we have a continuance?
Oh, no
Because
trial
it's so
set.
soon.
Yeah, it's no
Oh.
trial's
Okay.
been set yet. Yeah,
Oh.
the 11th status hearing. I mean, so
Okay.
here's
Oh, it's a
here's
status
part of
hearing.
it.
Oh,
Here's part of it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Ty has a right to a speedy trial.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, the sooner it gets retried, the sooner it gets done. The court doesn't want this lingering forever. Now,
true.
there's also the idea maybe there's availability issues, things like that.
Mm.
But a lot of times it's like because we have to get it done because normally this person is in custody, so their constitutional rights are being violated.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean that's not a very abnormal turnaround time if they could squeeze it in.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, like from the state perspective, sure, let's go.
Yeah, I mean for them, yeah, they're fine. We'll do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Why not? Like they got their case ready. They just did it.
Yeah.
But I mean, from the defendant's perspective, no. And also, my star witness just passed away. So there's that. Yeah, like I'm sure Ty's scrambling, and it's not ideal for him to go back to trial immediately. And plus, he's out.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
But I
It's
also
not like he's languishing in prison, in jail. Sorry.
that's true, but I also understand the idea of him just like I want to be done.
Sure.
I know.
Because otherwise it hangs over his head. This is a thing. He can't go wherever he wants. He can't do whatever he
Mhm.
wants because of this court case. So I understand him wanting to get it done.
I understand that perspective, Franklin Tucker. I mean, yeah. I mean, theoretically, there's a right to a speedy trial. I mean, look at Brian Koberger. I mean, he had a right to a speedy trial. What happened was the state just continued to withhold evidence to a point where there was just no way that he had a real right to a speedy trial. His defense just had to file motion after motion after motion, and just to get this tiniest bits of information. There's no way that his counsel could be properly prepared for his trial in the period of time it would have taken. So he had to waive his right to a speedy trial. He had no choice. It's going to be probably 2025 before he goes to trial, and he's fighting for his life. Like that's a death penalty case in Idaho. That's just one example.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's this? When you go for your first appearance, a PD will come to represent you for the hearing, and when you sign for him to represent you, he waives your right to a speedy. He waives
Wow.
your right to a speedy trial.
That's not abnormal. That's something they always file with their cases. So that's not a surprise that office does that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's still kind of messed up, but
No, I understand, but
Okay.
like, yeah, I don't particularly like it, but it's not illegal.
I see.
Isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not. I'd argue it's probably frowned upon, but technically no.
Okay. All right. So, Lauren, I didn't mean to speak out of turn there about scrambling. I mean, it's if it were 11th of March, that's
Yeah.
quick, right?
Mhm.
So if it were 11th of March, I didn't know it wasn't the 11th of March. So thank you for me being corrected. But if it were the 11th of March, then that would be a quick amount of time to be preparing for trial.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's move on. Have we got another one?
Let me see.
No, the facts haven't changed, but we have one less witness.
Yeah.
Yep, one
Yeah.
less witness.
Yeah. How does Paula passing away affect the case? Just her deposition. Yeah, I mean, she was.
No,
The
she's
hope was
completely
always.
unavailable for comment.
Yeah, she's completely unavailable. I mean, I would think that affects the case quite a lot, doesn't it? I mean, I'm commenting, and I'm a trial watcher, and potentially, like, I'm a potential juror,
Mhm.
right? So, her not being there, and I suppose when Ty, when you went to trial the first time you went there, I mean, you knew she was sick, but she wasn't as sick when you first went in there than she was when it came time for her to testify. There was a photo of you with her at the hospital, and she looked much better at that point than she obviously was when she was on that Zoom link, right? So she really, really went downhill in terms of her illness. So when you went into trial, I'm sure you thought that she was going to be a lot more able to testify for your defense at that point, right? So that was the preparation at that point. So going into this trial now without her at all, I would think changes your strategy. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but that's just how I see it. Okay, they drugged. Oh dear, Lauren. Dear. Okay, yeah, but sorry, this. Yeah, but sorry, I'm just get this other point up. Yeah, but the same testimony from Paul Louise. Yeah, there's a deposition testimony. Cool.
Which
okay. Look,
was actually very helpful. I thought it was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and that's good. I don't want to discount the importance of that and the sway of that for the jury either. Okay, cool. All right, let's move
I'm
on.
sorry, I'm still trying to look.
Okay.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
What's this? Someone gave her a bunch of Xanax between setting up the Zoom meeting and her testimony.
Really? Did they know?
What's this?
Did they know?
Look, yeah, I don't. This would all be speculation, wouldn't it? I suppose. But yeah, that's an interesting point. It's not funny.
It's not.
It's not funny.
It's typical, I feel like, of how these prosecution cases go.
We watch a lot of these, and it's not funny. It's like,
well, it's
what's the way to put it?
Paula. Oh, wow.
What's that? Well, yeah, that's
typical.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been my experience. There's a lot of, yeah, it's, is it a normal thing? Is it just like something happened? But then there's so much of an issue that, you know, you want to call it a coincidence, but it's really hard to call it a coincidence when the other side is involved.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it, you know, it's really, and it's those things like he's talking about here, where it's really hard to sit there and say,
is it just a coincidence?
Well, it's no big. Yeah, it just happened. Ha, ha, ha. Kind of a deal. That's a very.
So, her demeanor was like, because that was really like. So I'm assuming then she was a very different person.
Well, from the deposition, she sounded very different. So
yeah.
That's. But I also, and I don't know. Obviously, Ty knows better than I do. I think it seemed to me that Paula was kind of on a bit of a decline already, and obviously it didn't seem like too detrimental, but it's just whatever she was on made it even worse. So
interesting. That's
really and Lauren says she never got meds that time of day. Well, that's a big problem too. That messes with things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was scary to watch. Like Ty said, like I thought she was about to, like pass away.
Yeah. Well, no, that's yes. I did not see that till later, and I watched that clips of it real quick, and I thought, oh my gosh, this lady's gonna like die in the courthouse.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It without a doubt, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
Watching that. I know that I was like, is this real? Is she as ill as she really looks? Perhaps I mean, perhaps she's been like this for quite a while, and then I look back and I saw the image of her only a week earlier or so of her in the hospital with Ty looking okay, and yeah, it was just really it was very uncomfortable. But for her to be that adamant about testifying on Ty's behalf,
She would not have wanted that to happen.
no, I mean, but it was very persuasive also. It was very persuasive that she really, really, really wanted to testify so much. Yeah, she wanted to testify so much, and she was so sick, but yet, please, please, get me in front of this computer screen right now. And then to have that struck from the record. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but then I wouldn't have.
To be fair, once she was there, I think it had to be stricken from the record. That was very there. I think there would have been I think, in all honesty, that was probably the proper thing to do, given how it went overall.
Well, that's it. But I also did I wouldn't have liked to have seen her cross-examined.
Yeah. I don't know how he would have.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
that's why it was struck, because how was he going to cross-examine her? And I don't really think there would have been an effective way to do it.
No, exactly. Yeah, she was so upset later because she thought she might have let you down. Yeah, I've heard you speak about that actually, and it's just heartbreaking. All right. Do we have something else to move on with?
No, not really at the moment.
Okay, maybe we'll have just a couple more questions from chat before we finish up. And I'd just like to say that everyone's been really, really respectful today. And I've really appreciated all of the input from everybody in chat. Sean, you're just a treasure.
Yes.
Mate, you are such a great friend. And just the knowledge that you bring to all of us, you help us all out so much.
I appreciate that. I'm a monkey who wears pants. I'm not that.
We just love you. And I love hanging out on your stream. It's such a treat when you come over here to visit. And you know to behave, J-Rock.
Flashman's asking a good question.
Yes.
Saying, can witness testimony be struck from the
record?
So
I'm guessing
the record that is allowed. Well, I mean, are you asking can it be struck after the fact? Yes. If something comes out, they could strike things after the fact. If they learned something happened, they learned that guy had got caught. There's video of him down in beer in the hallway. They could probably get the whole thing stricken if that's what you're getting at there. But yeah, there's very few things you can't do in a courtroom. One time, I mean, you can agree to all kinds of facts. You can make things up. You can create legal fiction. I remember one time I had a case where the guy was accused of stealing from his grandma, and his grandma was 65. Well, that made it an enhanced felony because of her age. And I said, well, she didn't want him to have a felony, but she wanted him to be plea out to the theft and be held responsible. So the prosecutor and I agreed with that there was an amendment to the indictment, and grandma's age got turned back 2 years. And the judge, and when we read that out loud, the judge we're agreeing to facts on the record. These are the facts we're agreeing to. If both parties are agreeing to because remember, the judge is the referee, and he looks at it and he looks at us and he says, well, would that make it a misdemeanor? And the prosecutor said yes, and he's going to enter a plea of guilty. And we pled our guy out, and the judge still put him in jail for 3 weeks, but it's he stole from his grandma. So
absolutely. Do we have anything more that anyone would like to add? Who's this?
Flash is saying yes, it can be struck until the witness testifies. Yeah. I thought you were asking, but yes, you can 100% strike it afterwards.
Yeah. So thank you, Free Franklin Tucker and the lovely Lauren for being here, and of course,
Becca.
thank you, Becca, for so much.
You've been fantastic.
Sent me so much information.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to say to Frank, to Ty out there, if you do end up representing yourself again, I wish you the best of luck. I truly mean that. I hope
Yep.
you're able to. I hope you're able to. I know you gave a couple interviews the last time around. I hope you can give a couple of interviews as somebody who's actually achieved that, a final victory, not just a temporary one. So, because yeah, if this is the best the state can do, I think this should never have been tried. So, I
Yeah.
wish him the best of luck in that regard.
Absolutely. When on a different stream, when we don't have Mr. Sean here, and therefore it's not a matter of any possibility of him giving any legal advice, I would love to have one of you guys back, Ms. Lauren or Mr. Ty or both of you. That would be fantastic.
Yes.
But that said, I know, Ty, you have the right to silence.
Yes.
You don't need to speak at all. You can go if you would like. So you don't. I know though that you have waived that right in the past. If you want, you'd love to. Oh, fantastic!
Great.
Fantastic.
That's
Let's
great.
make a time. Let's do it. Let's do it. Ty cannot be silent. Lol.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
beginning to understand that.
I was about to say, I don't think that's something, it's like Ron White says, like, I had the right to be silent, but could I actually stay silent?
Can I actually stay silent? We do have, that'd be great. Well, we'll get in contact, Lauren and Ty, and we'll make a time really soon.
That'd be very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Now, we do have one question, though, from chat, and that is, will you go pro se or nay? Let's
It sounds
see.
like he's
Yeah, it sounds like we're still in the
still in the pro se camp, but
Still in the pro se camp at the moment. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I know that some people will be happy about that, and that will be
Yes.
the law and crimes and the court TVs and all those kind of people, because their views just go. Yeah. Look, all I care about is that justice is done.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm sure that that's the case for everybody here, because that's really, when it comes down to it, it's not about entertainment. This is not about what is more fun to watch or anything like that. We've had the Darryl Brooks and all sorts of things to watch.
yeah, we don't care about them, but
No, we don't care about that. We care about the fact that if it's not proven beyond reasonable doubt, then it should not be a guilty verdict. And we've seen guilty verdicts that are unjust.
Yeah.
Please, everybody, if you haven't seen the case of Zachariah Anderson, go and look at that. This man is in prison till his 90s, and his children are growing up without their father. It is an injustice, and it's wrong. And that was a dirty prosecutor there, right? Thank you, John Comment. Thank you to all the new members. All the new members. I can't see them here because I don't have my stream up right now, but welcome and join us. Join us on our Discord server. We can entertain you. We are now going to go and raid Miss Mo. Everyone go and say excited utterance raid, EU raid, EU Dali raid, whatever you want to say, EU Sean raid, whatever. We're going to go and
start in a few minutes. Her and Vealhammer are doing a new stream together. So I wanted to support them.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, wonderful. Yes, the Wrongful podcast is there. You can go and have a look at that. Also, I've started a new can you put the link up for that, please?
A new what?
I've started a new series on Free Zachariah Anderson. It's on every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's called Not a Murderer. Not a Murderer. And it's starting right from the beginning, and it's not the trial. It's not focused on all of the testimony. It's for people who are brand new to this and may not be court watchers. They might not be trial watchers. Maybe they are a little bit, but you don't have to sit there and watch the whole trial. We're going to take you through his story and how we got to this place and why we believe that it's wrong. So it's really easy to watch bite-sized pieces so that you can learn about this. True crime buffs, people who are interested in that kind of stuff, people from outside of our space can start to understand how this injustice happened. And it just people who might not love just sitting around watching days and days worth of court can still understand how an injustice like this can happen to you, to your brother, to your dad. Yeah, so we're doing that every Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. And you know what? The Franklin Tuckers of this world, we don't want it to happen to you. We don't want you to end up in a situation like that, because there are corrupt prosecutors. There is corruption out there.
There is.
There absolutely is. There absolutely is. And juries don't know the difference.
Mm-hmm. Well,
juries do not know the difference.
And I'd argue the almost scarier thing is it's not only just corruption, but there's a stunning amount of incompetence that's out there. And you know, it's one thing to deal with somebody you know is a bad guy, and they know they're a bad guy, and they're doing their thing. But it's another, and I'd argue even scarier thing to know that person doesn't even realize they're doing the bad thing, that they're in the bad guy, that they're doing it wrong.
Yep. That's absolutely true. Alrighty. Okay. She doesn't stop for 25 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well, you could still send them over.
Yeah.
They'll just send them over to the
I don't know if
kind
there's
of waiting.
else.
That's fine. Okay, never mind. I'm going to send you over to Mo. If you want to start watching her in 25 minutes, that's cool. But the other thing I wanted to say is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have Hearsay for Days, guys. So make sure that you are on this channel tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. That is where we talk about all the things that have been happening in social media throughout the week. So we are going to be talking about the Rust Armourer trial. Yes, all the things that have been talked about in the Rust Armourer trial. We are going to be talking about also Mr. Nick Godejohn and his fight for freedom, his appeal. If you don't know about Mr. Nick Godejohn, he is the jilted lover of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. We don't talk about her anymore. We don't like her. So Nick Godejohn, this skit show which is the SC shit show. In other words, that is South Carolina and the garbage that goes on there. Maybe some Murdoch stuff's going to happen there, and more. Tomorrow's
was Gypsy Rose. Is that all in South Carolina too?
No.
Oh,
Gypsy
okay.
Gypsy Rose is in Missouri.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's very good. It's very nice to do.
It would be fantastic, but you just never know. So we stopped talking about Gypsy and we started talking about the guy who is actually in prison for the rest of his life. Who did the stabby because he had Asperger's syndrome, and like really, she just picked him out of a lineup basically and went, I'm gonna like sexually manipulate you for 2 years. And then I'm going to actually send you a video and show you how to walk around to the side of my mum's bed and go. Yeah. There's actually a video of her doing that. Anyways. So is that, and the Rust trial. So we're going to be talking about what's been going on in the Rust trial. So in Hearsay for Days, what we do is we go through social media and we look at all the different opinions from people around the interwebs. And if you are only looking at what is coming through your feed, that means the algorithm's only feeding you the things that you want to see. So I'm going to be showing you everything else with the lovely dramatic readings of Mr. Dali here. Yes. And he changes personalities from time to time. He becomes EB and all sorts of other people. Maybe Phil Hammer will join us too. Yeah. Okay, that's it, everybody. Thank you, Sean, for your time. Thank you, everybody in chat. Lauren and Ty, let's make a time and we'll have another stream and have you guys on. It'll be fantastic. Happy Saturday. Happy Sunday to those who are over here on my side of the world. And that's it.
Bye.
Hearsay for Days tomorrow.